everybody, welcome back to a new video. So my name is Catherine if you're new here. I'm from New Zealand, and last year I did a working holiday in Japan, so I lived there for about basically 1 year. And yeah, I've been vegan for almost 9 years now. So yeah, I thought I'd just talk about my experience being vegan and give you guys some tips if you're thinking of visiting Japan or even moving there. Hopefully this video will be helpful, just because when I first arrived I was pretty lost. Like, obviously everything is in Japanese and I couldn't read the ingredients, and I didn't really know like what to eat or what to buy or what even certain products were. So yeah, hopefully this video will make things a little bit easier. My tip number one, especially if you are kind of going long term, even though maybe you don't want to hear it, but I would say accept that you're probably not going to be perfect. I know definitely I wasn't, 100% vegan the entire year. I think that's almost impossible unless you want to spend, hours and hours reading ingredients and, really limiting yourself to what you want to eat. Yeah, I think just accept that you won't be perfect. A lot of the time, certain things are going to be hidden. So, for example, you might order something and they'll say it's vegetarian or vegan, but maybe there's, fish stock or elements of, I don't know, something from milk or, egg related that you might not be aware of until after the fact, like after you've eaten it. So I think number one is just don't beat yourself up if you accidentally make a mistake and you accidentally eat something that's not 100% vegan. Ultimately, it's not the end of the world. With that being said, I would say definitely Google Translate is going to be your best friend, assuming that you don't read Japanese or kanji or whatever. Yeah, you basically have to translate every single thing at the supermarket. It is really annoying and it can be very time consuming, but ultimately, like for me, it was something that I had to do maybe for the first few weeks or months, but then after a while, you kind of get to know the products that you like and certain things that you always buy, so it definitely becomes easier over time. So after living in Japan, I visited South Korea. And I kind of realized that actually Japan has a lot more vegan options compared to Korea, at least in terms of like convenience stores and konbinis. So basically every konbini will have onigiri or some type of sushi or rice related thing that you can eat. Generally my go-to was like the pickled plum onigiri, which is usually like always vegan. Sometimes they have other flavors like seaweed or even plain rice or things with tofu or natto, but sometimes you have to be careful, just like because they do have, I don't know, sometimes derivatives of like fish or whatever. But honestly, most of the time I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna assume that it's vegan. So yeah, after a while I like wouldn't even look at the ingredients, but if it was like looked fine, then I would just eat it. Another thing you probably should get used to eating is tofu. Luckily I'm a big fan of tofu. Like in general, if you're buying plain tofu, it's always going to be vegan at the supermarket. The great thing is that in Japan, like, tofu is just something that everybody eats. It's not only reserved for vegetarians or vegans. Yeah, it's really good, obviously good source of protein, and it's really affordable as well. So yeah, I was basically living on tofu like every single day. Thing is, like, soy milk is also pretty affordable as well, and generally cereal that is kind of like fortified with vitamins and minerals, so you can get your like B12 and calcium and all that kind of good stuff. Although you do have to be careful because a lot of cereals contain dairy, so just double check the ingredients. And then oatmeal as well is really good as well. Yeah, and I'm assuming that, if you're watching this and you're going like for a working holiday or something like that, you're probably going to be on a budget as well. So yeah, generally the good thing is that Japan is pretty affordable, especially things like tofu, your staples, pasta. I was eating a lot of udon noodles like soba, and bean sprouts are super cheap as well. The one thing that is, I guess, a little bit more expensive is like fruit, unfortunately. But I find that there were cheaper options, especially the longer you stay there. I think you're just gonna like, figure things out, and like the cheapest places to buy stuff, maybe your local fruit and vegetable store. Generally when it comes to produce, I find that like smaller stores actually have better prices than your large supermarkets. With that being said, my favorite supermarket is definitely Gyomu, and I discovered this like a few months after I moved there because, well, first of all, Gyomu is not in every single place, but generally big cities will have a few Gyomu stores. So yeah, it's basically just a very budget discount supermarket. Yeah, it's basically where you want to stock up on all your pantry like staples, and they also have a lot of imported products as well, which is really good because although Japan is affordable, like if you want to buy something that's imported, often there's a very high markup. So I find that Gyomu was the best option if you want to buy, like, I don't know, things that are maybe imported, or even things like beans or like chickpeas or hummus and frozen vegetables and frozen fruit. I found that Gyomu had like the best, the most variety, and also the best price as well. Yeah, I think when it comes to, if you're staying in Japan long term and, you know, obviously you want to stick to some type of budget and generally just eat healthier, I think just the best option is just go to the supermarket and cook your own food. Although if you, let's say you're going, maybe you're just visiting on holiday or more of a short trip and you're thinking of like eating out more, it's definitely possible as well. Like I said, konbinis usually always have some type of vegan options. And then also you have some very affordable restaurants as well. So my go-to fast food would be MOS Burger. So yeah, MOS Burger have just a plant-based burger, and it's pretty affordable. It's kind of like the maybe Japanese equivalent of McDonald's, but I think it's a little bit healthier. And yeah, it's really good. Pretty much most towns you'd have a MOS Burger. And also Caesarea is an Italian restaurant, and it's really cheap as well. You can get pasta for like maybe 300-400 yen, which is like maybe not even $2. So it's really good if you're on a budget. Also generally, like, you can go to really cheap like sushi go around places and just get, you know, plain sushi or things with tofu or natto, which is a pretty safe bet as well. And then obviously in the more touristy areas and like bigger cities, often there would be, you know, vegan or fully vegetarian restaurants, especially like if you're going to somewhere like Tokyo. There's definitely going to be vegan options. You can find like fully vegan restaurants and, you know, try vegan ramen, you know, vegan sushi, vegan burgers, whatever you want really. When it comes to more traditional places, I would say it's definitely a lot more difficult, but usually there's like some type of tofu, or edamame is generally vegan. Often like soba, you can just order plain soba and then maybe like soy sauce, but you just have to again be aware of like the dipping sauces and that kind of stuff. The one thing I definitely missed, I would say, is bread. So even just like generally for my non-vegan friends, I guess, like bread in Japan is quite different if you're used to, I don't know, bread like from Europe or even in New Zealand. I feel like in Japan it's a bit more sweeter and it's more kind of like a brioche style bread, and often there will be milk and, I don't know, dairy products in their bread, which is really annoying. It is definitely possible to find vegan bread, but yeah, in general, if you're going to the supermarket and you just want to like buy toast, then it's pretty hard to come by. So yeah, I feel like this video has been a bit blabby, but hopefully it's been helpful. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. In general, I think being vegan is tough, definitely at first, but it's definitely possible. And the more time you spend in Japan, I think the easier it gets as you get familiar with, you know, like the ingredients and your favorite products, you know, maybe at your local supermarket and stuff. So yeah, at first it definitely was a challenge, but by the end of my time in Japan, like, I was super comfortable. Like, I would just walk into a supermarket and pretty much know exactly what I could buy, what I could eat, what I was gonna make. And even in the konbinis, like, you know, I would often get like vegan onigiri, sushi, mochi, and honestly now, like, I miss a lot of the food in Japan, especially when I'm traveling in places like in South America when there wasn't a lot of good Japanese food, or it was just a lot more expensive. So yeah, hopefully this video has been a bit helpful. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Matane!